Hey there everyone, and welcome back to another crypto market update. My name is Brendan from Crypto 101, and in today's episode we have the price of Bitcoin kicking things off by rallying to a new all-time high of over $107,000. Now, of course, this isn't the only news that's going on. We have massive projects that are being launched, like the one that we're seeing from Pudgy Penguins. We're looking at the Ethereum and Bitcoin ETF data because the inflows are actually remaining quite high, even over an extended period of time. And we're going to dive into what's happening over here with the possibility of staking coming to the Ethereum ETFs and a whole lot more. So if that interests you, all that we ask is that you consider hitting that like and subscribe button. And if you really like the content, then check out some of those links in the description down below. But let's go ahead and kick things off with the chart because, as I just said, Bitcoin has hit a new all-time high of 107. In fact, even as of today, depending on the exchange that you look at, Bitcoin was actually able to push up to around $108,000 per token. Now, this puts us at new all-time highs. It puts Bitcoin back in price discovery mode, but we can see that if we really zoom in here on the daily, over the last 2 days, Bitcoin has been kind of struggling a little bit around 108K. I don't think it's any kind of serious level. You know, we have just seen a pretty substantial move to the upside from around 93K last Tuesday up to this new high of around 108K. This represents about a 15% move in the last week with Bitcoin breaking out upwards. And I think that Bitcoin certainly has quite a bit more upside potential going into the future. It has a lot of support once we start coming back down to around 100 to 103K on Bitcoin. I wouldn't be surprised if we get some sort of retest into this zone at some point in the future. But again, if we zoom out, we always like to say the trend is our friend. And if we really zoom out on Bitcoin, we can see that two things are for sure. Number one, Bitcoin is moving upwards, and number two, Bitcoin is moving to the right. So when we get that combination of moving up and to the right, it makes this whole uptrend a lot more clear. And that's really why we're seeing a lot more articles like this one saying, hey, Bitcoin is rallying. We're seeing it move up over 50% since the US elections. And now even key stock players like MicroStrategy have really started benefiting from this because we're actually seeing MicroStrategy join the NASDAQ 100, which is a really big deal. They're going up in there alongside Palantir and some others, but that's a story for another time. The big kind of takeaway here is that even crypto-related stocks are doing well. They're making strides, and it's a historic point for all of crypto. Now, at the same time, if we look at some of these Bitcoin ETF flows, typically if we kind of zoom out on this, and I'm going to make this even a little bit bigger for us here. So bear with me while we kind of zoom back in on these spot Bitcoin ETF flows. If we zoom out on this, we can kind of see that we have our peaks and we have our troughs, and we go through kind of these hills and valleys that are up and down. Now, despite seeing this on a pretty consistent basis, if we go back to kind of just the last month of these Bitcoin ETF flows, they've remained relatively consistent. In fact, we've seen little to no outflows with the exception of 1 day over here, where the Bitcoin spot ETFs have been pulling in hundreds of millions of dollars a day. In fact, some of these days it was even doing billions of dollars of inflows, and we can see that from some of these bigger days. But we've really only had like one hard day of outflows over the last month or so from these Bitcoin ETFs. And on top of this, they're just pulling in what is now adding up to be billions and billions and billions of dollars. And we have to remember that these are long-term holders. These are people who are not focused on selling. They're not looking for a quick trade. Most of them aren't looking for a quick swing. These are, for the most part, long-term holders. And with the addition of options on things like IBIT, we really are seeing the crypto market accelerate to places that we've just never seen them go before. Now, Bitcoin isn't the only thing in the news. We've also seen on the altcoin front, there's been a handful of altcoins run into new cycle highs, new all-time highs. I know Sui was one of the big ones that we've been keeping an eye on, watching that thing just break out the constant new all-time highs. And then kind of alongside it with that same push, we're seeing a lot of other altcoins kind of contest that. You look over at Solana about a month ago, tapping its all-time high. We're now looking at things like Ondo and Arrow, and there's a lot of other ones out there. But one of the most recent releases is coming from Pudgy Penguins. And they are a massive NFT collection that decided to launch the Pengu token, and I hope I'm saying that right. But they're going to be launching this, or rather they already did launch this, on Solana. Now, there's a couple cool caveats that I think people need to know here, because I've already been asked about this a couple of times. Number one, they were originally an Ethereum NFT project, and it even says it right here. However, they have launched their token on Solana. And what this means to me is it just kind of shows that there is a big shift that's happening. And it's not saying that Ethereum's dead, but there is a big shift to Solana. And that's something that we've seen with DEX volume. That's something that we've seen with active traders. And that's something that we've seen in even trading volume and just overall activity on the not the Ethereum, on the Solana mainnet. And when you have a big project like this that is Ethereum native saying that they want to move their token over on Solana instead of Ethereum, I think it kind of just talks about the state that Solana's in. And Solana really has positioned itself as a core competitor and really just a core-centric part of the crypto ecosystem. When it comes to meme coins, when it comes to NFTs, when it comes to things like this, Solana is slowly becoming, and maybe not even slowly anymore, but it is becoming the standard for those specific verticals. Then once you look at maybe DeFi and tokenization and RWAs and stuff, Ethereum still is a very centric part of that. It still is one of the most active, biggest, largest blockchains out there. And now instead of just having Ethereum as the one main Goliath of dApps, we now have Solana competing with it. So by no means is Ethereum dead. Ethereum is very, very far from it and extremely successful. But now what we have is kind of a new Goliath that is formed, and that Goliath is Solana. And so this is something that really just stood out to me. Now, the other thing, kind of the second part of this, is that we saw that these eligible participants for the Pudgy Penguins airdrop have 88 days to claim these tokens, or else the tokens are going to end up being burned. They're not going to go back to the founders. They're not going to go to the people who are supposed to have claimed them afterwards. They are just going to be removed from the supply. And I think existing token holders should look at this and like this, because the less supply that there is and the more demand that there is, well, the more that could, in theory, help the token price. So this is a really big release that just came out, and this is something that we could see happen from more NFT-based projects in the future. Now, the final thing that I wanted to talk about in today's market update is that there have been rumors circulating around from this idea that Ethereum could be getting staking. Specifically, when it comes to these Ethereum ETFs, they could be getting staking next year. And I'll tell you what, this is a real possibility. And if we get this, what this does is it opens up Ethereum to a new investment class. And what I mean by that is that there's a lot of people out there who like their dividend stocks. They like earning a passive income. They like earning yield. And there's a lot of investors that will only look at some sort of passive income or yield-bearing stock because they like their dividends. And if we're all of a sudden now able to give that and give them access to something like that on Ethereum, well, that's what I mean by it opens up a new investment class, or a new class of investors that might not have looked at Ethereum previously. Because in addition to whatever kind of rewards Ethereum could give these investors, well, now they know that they're going to be getting 3-4% on top of that. And that's enough for, again, a lot of these people to give Ethereum a second glance if they might have kind of missed it the first time around, or maybe they skipped it the first time around. Maybe now it could be more their style. So under the new administration, we are looking at a pretty big reduction in terms of negative policies and what cryptocurrencies could do. And this is one of the biggest ones that we're looking at. Now, if this happens, I would imagine that it acts as a positive catalyst for Ethereum. This would probably cause more ETF flows, more activity, more attention for Ethereum, and that could kind of inspire the entire altcoin ecosystem to see some further upside as well. There's also a lot of speculation about more cryptocurrency ETFs, specifically on the altcoin side, coming crypto's way in the first half of next year as well. But we'll save that for a separate video. We've already covered it a couple of times with XRP and Solana and AVAX and some of these other ones that have rumors circulating around that they could be potentially getting some ETFs in the not so distant future. But ultimately, time is going to tell there. The big kind of takeaway here is that, hey, Ethereum is catalyst, altcoin has catalysts here, even Bitcoin has quite a few catalysts, and all of the information is looking pretty positive. Now, can we have our ups and downs? Absolutely. But the big takeaway that I have here is that things are looking solid, and that, hey, if we get some sort of dip, I'm actually going to be looking at this as a potential buy the dip opportunity if we do get anything in here. So I'm eagerly awaiting them. We know that we have pullbacks even in a bull market, and that's really where I see the most opportunity. So that's going to go ahead and round us up for today's market update, everyone. We hope all of you enjoyed, and if you did, consider hitting that like and subscribe button because we have videos just like this one coming out every single week. Now, if you're new here and you want to get plugged into a really great crypto community where I am personally an analyst at, you can go ahead into the link down below and join us at Crypt Nation. You can also check out a book from my good old buddy, Bryce Paul. He wrote The Crypto Revolution, and it's a great read as well. You know, maybe you have a friend or a family member or a loved one that is in the beginning stages of learning about crypto and understanding how it could play a role in the future. Well, that's a great place to start. And we got a link in the description down below for that as well. So thank you all for watching, and we'll see all of you at the same time, same place in 3 weeks, because we're going to be taking a little bit of a breather for Christmas, but we're going to have a lot of great content coming when we get back.